And joining me now is GLAAD Law Senior Director of Transgender and Queer Rights, Jennifer Levi. Hi, it's good to see you again. What are your expectations for how the justices will rule? Are you getting any clues from what we've been hearing so far today?
You know, it's always difficult to predict from argument, but the justices have definitely been engaged in this question of whether a state can sweepingly exclude all transgender students from school sports, you know, regardless of the fact that there are so many transgender affected students who are equivalently situated to other girls in sports. And so, you know, I do think the court and the question from Justice Barrett conveyed that there's an understanding that it's important to give the schools and state setting policy the leeway to set up reasonable policies to address this issue, and that sweeping rules are not fair. They're not fair to you know, any students, and it doesn't really do anything to ensure the protection of girls in sports.
West Virginia's Attorney General, who obviously is defending their state's ban, is the father of two girls who play soccer. And this is what he told the New York Times, quote, "When you watch your children putting all of this insane and incredible internal effort into being great at something, the idea that their place on one of those teams would be taken by somebody that has a noticeable and obvious unfair advantage does make it personal to me." There were several polls last year that also showed a strong majority of Americans are opposed to trans women competing in female sports, including 2 out of 3 Gen Zers. I think this is difficult for a lot of people. So let me ask you a straightforward question, understanding that all as a background, and certainly feel free to respond to the West Virginia AG. But can someone support trans rights but question the fairness of trans women and girls competing?
Yeah, I think that what came across in the arguments today is that what people want is to have reasonable rules that take into account the level of competition, the age, and the individual athlete's circumstances, just to ensure that you're not sweeping with too broad a brush, right? What Idaho and what West Virginia have done is to say that there are no circumstances where transgender girls can participate in school sports. And that's what's wrong here. What the solution is really the solution that has been in place in decades, which is just to have reasonable rules, usually at a local and school-based level, that you know, considers the impact and ways to ensure that transgender students can participate in sports in individual circumstances when it's appropriate.
I don't want to lose sight of the fact that there is a real human behind this case. It's a 15-year-old West Virginia high school student. Her name is Becky Pepper Jackson. She told my colleague Fallon Gallagher she just wants to be seen for who she is and play on a team with her friends.
It hurts to hear people say that I'm taking away spots from other girls when all I'm trying to do is just be good at my sport, and I'm working so hard every day for it.
So would it feel right for you to participate on male sports teams?
No, it would feel, terrible, because I've spent my whole life working towards being a girl and being myself in my own body, and being on the male team is just completely against that.
For people who might not understand all the complicated emotions involved in this case, talk about why this fight matters.
It matters because, transgender students, transgender girls want, and need really the ability to partake in school sports and athletics in school-related programs. And there's not a justification for having a sweeping exclusion, which is the legal issue that's in front of the court today. What Idaho and West Virginia have done is really to take away the ability to have reasonable rules at the local level to consider how to ensure that, transgender girls like those who are plaintiffs in the case can partake in all school-related activity and get the same benefit of sports that others get.
Jennifer Levi, it's good to have you on the program. We're all watching this very closely. Thank you.